In 2016, Donald Trump famously said that he lost the popular vote because between 3 and 5 million people whom he referred to as illegal immigrants had voted in the state of California. Yet again, we see this connection between the electorate and the population. Not simply 3 to 5 million people voted who weren't registered, or 3 to 5 million people who, for whatever reasons, they didn't say that 3 to 5 million dead people voted, or 3 to 5 million children voted. It was specifically a canard that involved frightening people at the prospect that 3 to 5 million people who were undocumented, people who were not in the country legally, had insinuated themselves into the electorate, playing on that antique American fear. In response to this, he created the Electoral Integrity Unit, which you all may remember, where they began to ferret out all of this nefarious activity, to clean up American elections. When that commission fell apart, they had identified 0 instances of voter fraud. More recently, Justin Levitt, a professor, conducted a study examining ballots cast between 2000 and 2014, which was more than 1 billion ballots. It identified 31 instances of improper voting. Hardly enough to justify the imposition of the regime that we've seen with the alleged aim of ensuring that there is no further voter fraud. I was covering a story about an election, and one of the things that you find about covering local politics, and I've always told my students this, is that the lower you go on the political scale, the less elegant the lies people tell you. And also, very often, the less awareness of the inelegance of these lies. And so my favorite instance in this was witnessing a heated exchange between a Republican county chair of some position in North Carolina and a group of activists who were saying that there were attempts to prevent people from voting because they're black. And the Republican official, who was a white man, kind of in exasperation said, "We're not trying to stop you from voting because you're black. We're trying to stop you because you're Democrats." And so, I mean, at that point, I'm kind of like, you're actually not supposed to be stopping them. That's the thing, you know? But I mean, I'm just here to report what's happening, and you don't pay me for my opinions, at least not in that instance. And so, this is the landscape that we find ourselves in. The kind of weaponized lie that can mobilize thousands of people to travel to the capital of the United States, as we now know as a result of the hearings, some or many of them armed, and to physically attack the United States Capitol. The United States Capitol has this very particular history. Of course, we know it was constructed in part by slave labor. But the original dome of the Capitol, which was made of wood, rotted immediately. And over the course of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln's government oversaw the reconstruction of the Capitol dome. And that reconstruction became a metaphor for the attempt to hold the country together. And it was completed just in time for Lincoln to give his second inaugural address, which is arguably the greatest address given by an American president. So we witnessed the opposite metaphor in January of 2020, when two decades after the failed attempt to attack the United States Capitol on 9/11, we witnessed an attack orchestrated not by antagonists from abroad, but by antagonists within.